Finding your way as a man in 2024 can be tricky, can be confusing, where the old style of man up, toughen up, harden up doesn't really seem to cut it most of the time, but then open up and being emotional, often just as unhelpful. Well, don't worry. Today in this video, I'm going to tell you a short story of my journey dealing with all the ideas about what it is to be a man and the path that led me down and all the parts of which did not serve me. And I'll show you how you can put down any of the ideas about your identity, about who you have been thinking you need to be, so that you can step into truly being comfortable and secure in your own skin. But first, hello there, legend. I'm Mike Campbell. I am a men's coach, author. I'm a founder of the Everyday Legends Academy, a one-time nice guy. And what I do is I support everyday men, in particular, nice guys, in building self-worth and building security so that you can kill your nice guy and get more from life, love, and the everyday. Firstly, by dealing with your shit. And then, with that, you can stop causing shit for yourself and for others. I'm a fierce proponent of the anti-nice guy, turning nice guys into good men. And I do this with a kind and caring heart and a firm, strong hand. I am the honest, caring mate every nice guy needs in his corner. I grew up in what I would call the same kind of generally stifling paradigm as most boys, as most men. You know, the harden up, be tough, be strong, don't show emotion, don't ever cry. Maybe cry at a funeral, maybe. Be tough, sort it out, brush it off, don't ask for help, cup of concrete, harden up, don't show weakness. Money, status, muscles, notoriety, house, hot misses, length of marriage, cock, power, productivity. These things are success. Collect them. The more the better, the more the better, the more the better. Look after everyone but yourself. Swallow your own shit, talk on the surface, never at depth, unless perhaps you're drunk, and then it doesn't really count anyway. And then a little later in the teenage years, bang, hot chicks, a lot, and be great at it. And this is, that kind of man's man. And I am not here to bash any of those things individually. Some of this requires a lot of nuance. Some of it is immensely important, powerful, effective, rewarding. But to get there, first requires separating from this who the fuck we are first, so that we can start to properly choose the man you want to be. And as it turns out, that wasn't really me. I teenager, early 20s, I loved chasing women as a young man for a while, but I was a young, naive idiot following my dick around, following the next quick fix, following the dopamine hit of getting laid and the kudos of my mates, fundamentally. Dig beneath the surface, and there wasn't much there. I've always loved applying myself to meaningful work and being rewarded for it, right? Seeking achievements, productivity, results, money, financial reward. But attaching my identity and worth to that, to what I could achieve and build, there just wasn't much when you scratch beneath the surface. If that's who I am, take those away, who am I? And that's really where I found myself. And that simple formula, and it is simple, but it landed me squarely in a place that I would describe as lost. No idea who I really was when that chase for traditional ideas of being a successful man was taken away. And the cost, so many costs, but I can tell you one, and this is a very common one that I've seen in many, many men. A constant stream of stories in my head, overthinking, ruminating, worrying about what people think of me, talking myself in circles, being highly critical, hard on myself, beating myself up, fear, fear, fear. I was so focused on what others thought of me, needing the approval of both women and the men around me, my friends. I found it hard to choose for myself, and I spent a lot of time, going with the flow. Because God forbid I chose for myself and get it wrong or have others not choose me as part of that. I was, let's call it, a classic nice guy. People pleasing, avoiding conflict, trying to be liked by everyone so that I could feel safe in myself and okay in the world. But I felt like I was spinning plates. And one of them was always about to drop. And it is exhausting. It is not fulfilling. And it's a facade, fundamentally. It is hard to keep that up. We can, but we're always one misstep away from everything falling and breaking. And it is shit. For me, it was shit. I think head fuck is the technical term. And feeling like there was a hole of sorts. Something was missing. And there absolutely was. me, my individual identity. I'd become this kind of curated and masked version of who I thought the world wanted me to be. And therefore, who I thought I needed to be liked, to be safe. And then I had a realization. I spotted a thread. This doesn't seem to be working for me. This is frustrating. This is all consuming. This is exhausting. I was in my head so much. Like, this can't be the way. And I knew there was a part of me who really wanted to do my own thing. And so I pulled on these threads. These were two very important threads. But make no mistake, I did not just drop into kind of like integrity, authenticity, like David Data, breathing through my balls, being surrounded by other men chanting. In fact, let's call it yet to delve into that. It's just not really me. I just decided to find the truest version of me and continually pull that thread, despite how uncomfortable it might be in the moment, but actually connect to how I felt afterwards. Respect, pride, like, oh, ease after the fact. And it was tough, but I realized I needed to become friends with my edges, all the things that kind of piqued and triggered that fear in me, fear of judgment, fear of rejection, of change, and new things that previously felt unsafe and uncertain. It took me to the edge of the unknown and uncertainty. I realized that to become more solid in myself, more grounded in myself, to become more comfortable in my own skin, I had to try the skin on, I had to wear it around instead of waiting for people to do the heavy lifting for me and convince me that I'm okay and convince me that I'm deserving of love and belonging. Like putting on a new pair of leather shoes or a new pair of jeans, right? There's a period of adjustment. And there was a period of adjustment as I found that place of comfort. But avoiding it just meant I was wearing a skin that wasn't mine, let's call it. And so that thread opened up to me, became a rabbit hole. And that rabbit hole was, as I zoomed out, kind of on the conditioning that a lot of us men tend to receive and are subject to about what it is to be a man, on why we become who we become, right? These masked versions of the boys we were, these masked versions of the boys' self-protective and coping mechanisms to be okay in the world, right? A set of behaviors kind of mirroring our family and parent dynamics, value sets, societal systems, and all of the shit that gets passed on to us. And the more I followed this, the more I saw the costs. I was experiencing myself and I was seeing them in the world around me, my clients, my friends, but in all of the data, all the research. Basically, every stat around mental, emotional health and well-being skewed heavily and frighteningly towards men. Suicide, homelessness, workplace deaths, mental health, you name it. Countless conversations with men who didn't know who they were, who felt lost, who felt stuck, who were unsure how to choose for themselves, how to choose what they wanted in life, to know this is what I want, here's my direction, and actually step towards that. And kind of a general, let's call it, lack of awareness of our needs and wants, and what I would call a huge hole in the place of genuine connection, community, mentorship, mateship, male role modeling. Instead, just kind of chasing that short-term validation, approval, and like external forms of gratification and success. Ultimately, I was seeing so many men not really sure on how to be a man in today's world, so focused on being the version that we think we need to be that will garner respect and approval and validation. And so as I'm filming this right now, I have personally done deep work with hundreds and hundreds of and had thousands and thousands of conversations with men. And I have seen the same themes arise and play out time and time again. Men, if you want something different for your life, if the rules that you have collected are not working for you, if they feel stuffy, restrictive, or just uncomfortable as all fuck, then know that there are alternatives. And it needn't and likely won't be some dramatic overnight change where you are just unrecognizable and your friends will stop being friends with you and suddenly reject you. Although you probably will find out who your real friends are when you step away from the shit that no longer aligns with you. And that, whilst it can be frightening, is fucking priceless and extremely important. Because if you've got fake friends, let's call it, that ain't going to serve you. And so that can mean some old friendships with old agreements that want you to remain as your old self, that will probably need to be let go of so that you can truly find yourself and your people. Sometimes we have to let relationships go so that we can both grow and potentially find our way back together. And this is another whole subject, and I can probably do another video on that. But if you have people holding you to a version of you that you no longer can or want to be, and they don't want to come with you, then it is an act of self-respect to state what you want, where you're going, and to move in that direction, whether they come or not. And that takes balls. It takes courage, it takes balls, and you will be needing them to truly step into your skin and being your own man. So this is foundation number one, is to ask yourself what it would look like to embody self-respect. You are going to need self-respect. It helps step into the courage, the fear, the edges. Ask yourself, what would it look like in simple and like practical terms to make self-respect the driving, determining factor in your choices and how you direct your life? That's number one, self-respect. The second thing that you must do is start accessing the courage you have available. You have courage available. We've just got to call on it. And that means confronting your edges, the fear that arises, and face the unknown, because this fear of the unknown, this fear of the uncertain, this fear of what will happen on the other side of the scary action of being yourself is so prominent. If you are to build one of the most crucial things that so many men lack, self-trust, you have to step in to courage. It doesn't come first, and then you can take the courageous steps. You be courageous and you build self-trust in the act. Here's something I've seen for so many guys. First, we all have shit. Everyone has shit. We just become very good at masking it and hiding it into the previous part of this video. Second, especially for nice guys, our shit will get in the way of us working on our shit. It will get so loud and it will prevent us from working on it because it doesn't want to die. It doesn't want to be suffocated. But it must, you must. That means leaning into discomfort and growth, right? All change, gentlemen, requires confrontation. And you must be willing to be honest with yourself and confront your edges, confront your fears, confront all of the justifications and shit that you have keeping you stuck, and access the courage to step. And this asks you to have self-trust. Essentially this line: while I might not know what is in front of me, I choose to step because I know I can handle it and I'm capable of figuring out how to handle it. Courage and self-trust go hand in hand. You do not build self-trust first in a vacuum. It comes after you do the challenging things. The things stopping you is the exact thing you must break in order to enter the world of possibility. And the things that used to stop me and do stop most nice guys: fear of what other people think of you, fear of rejection, fear of being judged, fear of failing, or more accurately, of what you would make failing mean about yourself, and what we do in terms of not being chosen, being rejected, being judged, all of the meaning that we attach to all of that shit that we attach and make mean about ourselves. Something equating to things like not being good enough, not deserving happiness and love and joy and belonging. Something is fundamentally wrong with me. I'm broken. I'm not worthy, right? We've got to get to the level of that, because that stuff is driving everything. And if you want to go in a different direction, that shit can't keep driving the bus. So here is tip number 3. Everyone is in the same train of thought as you. They are worried about what other people think of them. Other men are also worried about how they are viewed, about how the world sees them, and giving energy to being accepted and seen as a man enough as a man. It cancels out. So you are safe enough to simply do what you need to and leave them to thinking about what you are possibly thinking about them, right? If you can accept everyone else is thinking about what everyone else is thinking of them. I don't need to no longer worry about what everyone else is thinking of me. Because remember, here's what you're doing when you spend a large chunk of your time and energy thinking about the opinions, potential judgments of others and letting that run your life. You are thinking about what you think someone else is thinking. So I'm going to repeat that. Let it sink in. You are thinking about what you think someone else is thinking. So they are probably not thinking that. Really land with that. They are probably not thinking it. And at some point, you have to choose to let go of the possibility that they might be thinking that. Because even if they are, letting that run your life will mean you never fully claim your life and make it yours. It will always be driven and determined by others. If the ideas about what it is to be a man feel like they're not for you, then the most important thing, first of all, is not just to throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's a lot of beauty in some of these old ideas of strength and resilience and contribution and being of service and all this kind of stuff. Striving, living with purpose and intent. But if some of that just ain't working for you and you've got to find your version of it, then the most important thing to remember is the question is not, what does it mean to be a man? But come back to this question. What does it look like for me to be my own man? Because in the end, you will find self-expression, alignment, security, integrity, and peace. Fucking inner peace. Being comfortable in your skin. And if you do not know where to start, ask. Ask me. Ask someone you know who seems to have his shit even slightly more figured out. Because remember, no one has their shit fully figured out. But as Joseph Campbell so succinctly put it, when he sums up the hero's journey, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. Enter the cave, turn on the light, because it ain't that scary, brother. So, men, I want to hear your stories, turning points like mine if you've had them, and the decisions that you need to make and step into. Share them below. Now, if you're still working on this, great. Enroll the support that you need. Enroll the support that you need. We cannot do this work alone. There's a whole video on that for another time. But we need men around us to support us, see us, witness us, challenge us, champion us, invite us forward. Start this journey, and we can do that. Remember, click like to get more of these videos, subscribe so you can see all of my videos, and ring the bell to get notified when new videos are up. And if you're on the podcast, then subscribe and leave us a review. And remember, legends, this work is fucking useless if you do not put it into action. Put it into action. Apply this to your life. Show me that you can follow through on simple tips. Becoming the man you are capable of becoming. Step into what we call Zeus energy. Means courageous action. That is always yours to choose. Remember, courageous action is when we feel fear, when we feel unsure. It's not when we feel wildly confident. You can always choose that. All right? Until next time.